Peace and blessings. Happy Monday. What is going on, Life Warrior? How are you doing? I hope that this Monday is treating you well and that you are excited for your week. And if you're not, that's okay. I've been there too. Sometimes it's hard to get excited for life, and that's all right. So let's get to our message today. I have this quote that I wanted to share with you that I sort of captured and pulled from a podcast I was listening to where Glennon Doyle and Abby Wambach were being interviewed. And Glennon said this thing that just like, when you hear something and it's like, it resonates so deeply that you feel like that was a message specifically for you. That's how I felt when I heard this. I was like, yes, it's so true. And it was like medicine for a wound that I have that really just was so alleviating to the pain that comes with that wound. And so I thought I'd share it with you because, if it's benefiting me and I'm finding some kind of relief in it, then I'm positive it's going to benefit you because I'm no different than you. We are all on this life journey and we're all going through this human experience and we are not alone. And so when I hear things like this, it's like, oh, sweet relief. I'm not alone. It's okay. So hopefully you get the same kind of, relief from hearing this. So Glennon said, it's not difficulty that takes us out of the game of life. It's all the shame around how difficult it is. God, it's just like struck a chord with me so much. It's not the difficulty in our life that takes us out of the game of life. It's all the shame that we have around how difficult it is. Life is messy. Life is difficult. Life is an interesting journey, and there are lots of ups and downs, and we're going to get dirty here and there. We're going to make mistakes, and it's going to be hard. And of course, there will be the other end of the spectrum moments where things are beautiful. We do things just the way that they need to be done, and everything lines up well. But we live in a world that has duality, and so there are always these opposite ends of the spectrum. And so as much as we are going to have amazing moments, life is going to be chock full of difficulty. And we often think life is it's too hard. That's why I can't show up to my life 100%. Life is too difficult, and so I'm not all in. I want to do that endeavor. I want to achieve that goal or that dream, but it's too difficult, so I'm going to give up. And this is sort of how we are conditioned to approach our lives. And I love this quote because Glennon really I feel like she just nailed it really, really well here. It's not the difficulty that is the problem. I'll say that again. It's not the difficulty that is the problem. Difficult stuff is always going to happen. It's the shame that we have around the fact that something is difficult that we give up, or we throw in the towel, or we just call it quits, and we don't even try. We don't even give ourselves an opportunity to grow or to overcome or to succeed because things just get difficult, and we have all this shame around the fact that things are difficult. It's hard. It's hard as an adult to learn a new skill. It's hard as an adult to completely change careers midlife. It's hard to stay committed to the things that are important to you. It's hard to show up as your best self and live a spiritual life when we live in the world that we live in. It's difficult. It's difficult. It just is. And so what would happen if we just took out the shame that comes from the fact that things are difficult? We feel shame, right? We're embarrassed to admit this is difficult for me. It's hard. It really does a number on our psyche and our consciousness, our ego, to be yeah, I'm trying to do this thing and it's difficult. We want to be able to say it's easy peasy, right? And there's sort of this movement that's been happening for a while, this sort of, for lack of better words, this sort of new age movement where they say if it's too hard, you shouldn't do it. Only do the things that come with ease because that means it's meant for you. Now, I do believe that there is some truth in the fact that when things just line up with ease, that there is an alignment happening, and so you should listen to the universe when the universe lines things up for you and there's an ease to things. Yes. But just because something is difficult doesn't mean that you need to throw in the towel and walk away. In fact, it's often facing that difficulty, walking through that difficulty, that is going to cultivate the character within you so that you can be your best self. Right? We don't know what opportunities our difficulties hold. And we avoid all of our difficulties because we have shame around the fact that things are hard, things are challenging, and things don't come easy. Right? Like, how many of you out there want to pick up an instrument and learn how to play music? But then you get to this point where it starts to get difficult, and then there's shame around that of like, God, I'm an adult, I should learn this stuff quickly. But we're struggling, and so we just sort of like, we don't approach it anymore. We don't engage in it anymore. We just sort of shelf it, right? And I think we really hinder our growth tremendously by giving in to the fact that things are difficult and we feel shame about it. Now, to feel ashamed about something is different than to feel shame around something. Feeling ashamed is an internal feeling. It comes from within. We feel ashamed, like we made a choice. We knew it wasn't the right choice to make. We acted in a certain way. We knew it wasn't the best way to act, and we feel ashamed inside. And that is an internal mechanism that I think is really important. When you feel ashamed, it's a way of your body producing a feeling that's going to encourage you to go back the other way. Like, this is not the right way to do things. Go back and do it that way. That's the better way to do it, right? When we feel ashamed. Like, you know, some days I have difficult days and I may react to something and get short with somebody or say something or not say something. And I might feel ashamed about that because it's not how my highest self or how I would want my highest self to show up to that situation. And so I feel ashamed about maybe the way that I engage with people or don't engage with people. And that feeling ashamed is a good thing to happen because it makes me reflect on my life and my choices and my integrity and who I want to be so that I can course correct. That's totally different than feeling shame. Shame is something that usually comes from an outside source. We're worried about what other people are going to think about us. We're worried that, you know, someone is going to make fun of us or look down on us or have a reason to be like, see, I knew you weren't smart. And there's shame. Shame is more of an external thing where, you know, it's like somebody else is imposing their ideals on us and then making us feel bad because we don't meet their ideals. And so I hope that that clarifies a little bit for you. Feeling ashamed about something is different than feeling shame around something. Shame is like an intense kind of embarrassment that comes from, you know, not meeting external standards, right? Shame is often inflicted by other people. And so we grow up with these other people who inflict shame on us. And then that becomes our conditioning here in the mind. And so we don't need other people to make us feel shame. We start to feel it because of the conditioning we have. Whereas feeling ashamed is ingrained in all of us, and we should feel ashamed about, you know, choices that aren't so great or so integrity-based, with, you know, taking actions that lacks any kind of ethic or class or tact. We should feel ashamed about those things because that feeling is what's going to help us course correct. Shame just breaks us apart. It just tears us down, beats us up, and leaves us for dead. Shame is not productive in any way, not in any way whatsoever. So we shouldn't shame other people. It's never appropriate, and it never leads to a positive outcome. It never is going to induce the growth or the healing or the change that you want to have happen in that situation. So let's see what happens when we take shame off the table around things being difficult. For me, that just like, oh my God, it just gave me so much permission to be like, yeah, this thing is hard. I'm doing it, but it's hard. Right? Being able to own that instead of feeling like I suck because I haven't figured this thing out already. Or feeling like I shouldn't be doing this because I'm just not naturally good at it and it's really difficult to learn how to be good at it. So because it's so difficult and I have shame around that difficulty, I'm going to give up. And this quote just like, it freed up so much of my energy around, you know what, things are going to be hard and it's okay. I can do things that are difficult. I can go through hard moments in my life. That doesn't make me a bad person. It doesn't mean that I'm not doing things right. It doesn't mean that I'm not on the spiritual path anymore because things are difficult, right? We have this utopian idea that like, because we're adults, we've already sort of like paid our dues in learning things, that things shouldn't get difficult anymore, that they should just get progressively easier and easier and easier. And that isn't the case whatsoever. Life is always going to throw difficulty your way. It's just a part of life. And so how can we allow ourselves to engage with those difficulties in a way that isn't so debilitating? And I feel like the shame around the fact that things are difficult is debilitating. And so therefore we get out of the game of life and we don't grow. And we don't show up to those commitments that we said we were going to do. And we don't meet those goals that we set for ourselves. And then those things just start to chip away at our confidence. And then we just feel more shame around all the other things that are going on in our life. And it's just like this shame tornado that just takes us down. And so my goal for you, my desire for you, is that you give yourself permission for things to be difficult. It's okay. Maybe just out loud right now, just say it out loud. It's okay that things are difficult. It doesn't mean that I am less than because something is difficult. It doesn't mean I am not good enough because something is difficult. It's okay that things are difficult. And whatever feelings we have around that difficulty, those are okay too. It's okay to be like, this sucks. I don't like this. It makes me feel small. It's okay to feel those things. We don't want to stay in that place. And the shame is what keeps us in that place. We have shame around it. And the best way to deal with shame, the best way to drive shame away and out of your life and out of that moment, out of that experience, is to shine the light on shame. It's my imaginary flashlight. Shining the light on shame by talking about it, by putting words to it, expressing the fact that you feel shame around something with somebody who you feel safe enough to do that with. The only way that we work through our shame is by talking about it, which I know is such a catch-22, because the whole idea of shame is that we're embarrassed and we want to hide, we don't want to be seen. But the only way to get rid of our shame is to talk about it. And so if you're having shame around the fact that something in your life is difficult, find one of your friends, a close friend who deserves to hear, who's earned the right to hear your story, that can hold space for you without judgment, without criticism, and they can just hold space for you. And you can kind of, bounce these things off of them and say, I feel horrible because this thing is so difficult and I want to give up. And just talk about it. And once you shine the light on it, it begins to go away. It begins to dissipate and sort of vanish, because it's a dark energy. Shame is a dark energy, and the only way that we drive out darkness is by shining the light. And so shine the light from within onto that shame and put words to it, and let somebody that you love and that you know loves you, let them know. Just talk to them. I am feeling shame around this thing because I'm having a hard time doing it. And I guarantee you they're going to say something that's going to make you feel like you're not alone. You're not the only one who faces difficult things in their life. We all face difficulty. I've met many people over the years, yoga students and coaching clients, and this is one of the things that I think really keeps us in that place of victimhood and living really, really small, is when we feel like nobody can understand our difficulty. When we feel like, no, but you don't get it, how difficult my life is. If you think that nobody on this planet, there are billions of people on this planet, not a single one of them can relate or empathize with your struggle, with your difficulty, then just be prepared to live in that small cage for the rest of your life where you are the victim, because nobody understands you. We live on a planet full of people, and yes, all of our difficulties are packaged different on the surface, but we all go through difficulty. And we're never alone in the difficulties that we face. For me, that's really comforting to know. Like when I'm facing something difficult, I usually tell myself other people have faced this difficulty and they've survived it, so that means I can too. And I can let go of the shame around the fact that it's difficult because it's been difficult for others too. It's not like something is inherently wrong with me. I'm just facing a difficult moment, and that's okay. It is okay. Can we just make it okay? Like, can we just give ourselves permission that life is going to get difficult, things are going to be challenging, and that's okay. It doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It just means you're facing a difficult moment in life. That's all. And really what it means is there is a strength or a skill that is trying to be called forth from within you out into the world. And so you're facing that difficult moment so that you can cultivate or tap into those strengths that are inside of you. And so the moment we feel shame around the fact that something is difficult, it shuts us down. It shuts us down. And so those things that are within us, they never get called forth. So, my friend, fellow life warrior, how can you begin to give yourself permission to endure difficult things? Figure out who that person is that you can confide in and talk to. You need to have that person in your life. And, just take some time to really sit with this information and allow it to sink in. And I'm going to read the quote to you one more time because I just think Glennon said it so well. It's not difficulty that takes us out of the game of life. It's all the shame around how difficult it is. You are not alone. We all face difficulty. Things are going to be difficult. It doesn't mean that there is something wrong with you or that you're bad or that you did it the wrong way. It just means you're facing a difficult moment. And you know what? You can do difficult things. You can. I'm sure you can look back in your life and go, that was a difficult chapter in my life and I got through it. So you can do difficult things. You can do things that are hard. You can do them. And you don't have to have shame around them. Not in the tiniest bit. Not in the tiniest bit. So give yourself permission right now. I let go of shame around the fact that things are difficult. And just let this be your affirmation, right? Remind yourself the moment you start spiraling down into that shame cycle, you just remind yourself, it's okay that things are difficult. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay that things are difficult. You can do difficult things. Get in the game of life. Live out your calling. Follow the dreams and visions of your heart and accomplish those goals. And don't let the shame that comes with facing difficult things stop you in your tracks. You deserve better. You deserve so much better. So just let that shame go. Know that things are going to be difficult. There's nothing inherently wrong with you because you're facing difficulty. Let's just let that go. Give yourself permission to let it go. I let it go. I let go of the shame around difficulty. I can do difficult things. I can do difficult things. And just have this sort of out loud dialogue with yourself. It's really helpful. I do this often, and it helps me so much to kind of combat the negativity that the mind likes to throw at me often. So I hope that you found this video helpful today and that you can sort of unhook yourself from the shame that you've been carrying around with the fact that things are difficult. I'll just leave one last example for you. There's some women in life who just really love being moms. That's just their dharma in life, is to be a mom, and they're stellar moms. And there are other women who are stellar moms, but just don't like being moms. For me personally, being a mom doesn't come easy. It's not one of those natural things where I loved being pregnant and I love, having these two beings that are always pulling on my attention and my energy. I love that it happened and I love my children, but being a mom is difficult. It doesn't come easy for me. And I carried a lot of shame around the fact that I wasn't so happy being a mom. It wasn't something that I really took a lot of joy in. And I had a lot of shame around it because being a mom is difficult for me. It's really difficult for me. And so when I heard this, it was like, oh, okay, I don't need to think I'm a bad mom just because parenting is difficult for me. I don't need to have shame around the way I feel because parenting doesn't come naturally to me. I don't need to think that like I'm a bad person because I don't absolutely love being a mom. Like I have friends who just love being a mom, they love it. And that's just not me. This is not me. I love my kids, don't get me wrong. I love my children, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to have this journey of parenting, but I don't love it, and I'm not excited about it, and I begrudgingly have to be a parent. This is like not on the high end of like, you know, how I thought I was gonna live my life. And there was a lot of shame around that. There's a lot of shame around the fact that like, I don't like being a mom. I like being mom to my kids, and I love my kids, and I wouldn't change my life for anything. But it doesn't change the fact that like being a mom isn't part of my natural purpose in life, if that makes sense. Clearly it's part of my path because I have kids, but you know, there are just, you know what I'm talking about. There's some moms who are just like, they were meant to be a mom. Their whole life is around being this amazing mother, and they love it. They love every moment of it. And I'm just not in that same boat. I'm in a different boat. And so I had to let go of my shame around that. And like even being able to talk to you about it in this video is because I've let go of my shame around it. It's okay. Like I don't have to love being a parent to be a good parent. I can still be a good parent and still love my kids tremendously and totally not like parenting. Those things can coexist. It's okay. It's okay. So I hope that personal story helps you and makes you feel like you're not alone. You're not alone. We all face difficult things. We don't need to harbor and carry around this shame around the fact that things are difficult. It doesn't make you a bad person, and it doesn't make you less than. It just means that you're having a human experience. So keep trotting forward, my fellow life warrior. Keep moving forward, as we like to say in my house. Forward ever and backwards never. So stop looking back. Look forward. Don't worry about how you've been living in the past. I want you to focus on how you're going to move forward in your future. And we're going to start by today letting go of the shame that we have around how difficult things can be. It's okay if something is difficult. It's okay to ask help if something is difficult. It's okay to admit it out loud. This is really hard for me. It's okay. It's okay. You're still an awesome person. I really hope that you have took something away from this video, and if you found some value and some worth in this video, please make sure to like my video here on YouTube. You can email me back with a response of how this resonated with you, or if it didn't. And please, 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 if you have a friend who you feel like would really benefit from hearing this, send them this video. Forward them this email with a link to the video. All right, Life Warriors, I hope that you have an amazing, amazing week. Even if things get difficult, you can still have an amazing week. And remember that you don't need to feel shame around the fact that things are difficult. It's just part of being human. Let's go out there with our heads up high and our hearts open wide and live the best lives that we can, because you deserve it, my friend. Happy Monday. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll see you next Monday. Namaste.